Okay, I see you got your hand raised. Let's see. Perfect. Hopefully we'll be able to accept. Anyways, let's get started. We got some pretty good quorum up here on the stage. We got a good audience. Welcome everybody. Today we're meeting with YAT, a really awesome project that has a proposal up right now in the ideation process for an integration. So today we're going to meet the YAT team. We're going to learn more about this proposal and what this integration could look like, and what that could mean for ShapeShift users and the DAO. And yeah, we're going to get to meet. We got some really awesome guests today. We're joined by Fluffy Pony, as well as Naveen, this eagle character. For those of you guys that don't know, Fluffy Pony is a pretty well-known figure in the space and is the founder of Monero. We were really lucky to have him come talk to the ShapeShift team a while ago about in the early stages of Atari, which is the company that has created YAT. I should just say it's the company. It's the layer one blockchain that has created YAT as kind of the reference project. So without further ado, I would love to pass it over to awesome Volley. I'm glad you made it up here. I'll go ahead and I'll pass it over. Oh, it looks like you might be talking, but we can't hear you yet.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Perfect. I'll pass it over to you. We'd love to get an introduction of you and the team, and then a really high-level overview of YAT before we dive into more details. Also, just a heads up for everyone in the audience, there's a Zoom link in the stage chat to follow along. We are going to be sharing some visuals today. All right, Volley, please take it away.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us, everybody. I'm really excited about the turnout. So to give you an introduction, my name's actually Michael, but I go by Volley on various different platforms. And I'm on our partnerships team here at YAT. I've been the person that's been leading the charge on our proposal for the integration. Also joining me as Naveen Jain and Ricardo Spangi, also known as Fluffy Pony, are co-founders. So I'll pass them over to them because they're best suited to give the general overview for YAT, and then from there I'll be able to jump back in and talk specifically about the proposal.
Thank you, Volleyball. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. And just want to give a huge shout out to the ShapeShift community for inviting us here today. We're very honored to be here. We're huge fans of everything you all are doing. And yeah, we're just very honored to have the opportunity to share a little bit more about YAT and our vision with you. So thank you all for joining and taking the time. Yeah, it's just to give you a little overview on what YAT is. So YAT is a self-directed, self-sovereign identity product that leverages Unicode standard emojis as the form factor for identity versus traditional alphanumeric characters. And our vision for the product is really to create a new way of thinking about identity on the internet. If you think about how identity works today, basically on the internet, we have the situation where our primary form of identity is ad-supported social network accounts. Or they are, alphanumeric based usernames, whether we own them or not. And our point of view is that, there's another way to think about this, and that's ultimately what we're building with YAT. And really it comes down to when you think about how people think about identity in real life, we have so many ways of expressing ourselves, so the foods we like or dislike, the hobbies we have, the jobs we do, the clothes we wear, the cars we drive, all these sorts of things are expressions of identity. A joke that we tell internally at YAT Labs all the time is that even our sleep positions arguably are a form of self-expression. And when you think about it, then you go on the internet and all you get is this alphanumeric character-based username sort of thing, whether you own it or not. And most of the time we don't own them. On an ad-supported social network, you certainly don't own them. They can be shut down at any point in time. They're not universal. We need to have tons and tons of these different accounts. Every time a new network of any type, comes up, we have to go and quickly rush. It's sort of like a rush to go grab the username that everyone wants. We think that's kind of like a really silly approach, silly process. And that's where we came up with the idea of using short strings of Unicode standard emojis as the form factor of identity versus alphanumeric characters. And if you think about that, it's a really powerful idea because emojis are totally universal, right? There's 4.6 billion internet connected people on the planet. They all use the same Unicode standard emojis, and emojis are wildly popular. So over 90% of online internet users use emojis every single day of their lives. Emojis are more popular than every sports league combined. So being able to use a short string of emojis to share a little bit about yourself, for that to be your form factor of identity, is a really, really powerful idea because they are universal. So my YAT obviously is single emoji eagle. And it doesn't matter whether I'm in India or I'm in Kazakhstan or I'm in Portugal or I'm in Brazil or anywhere else in the world. Anyone who sees this emoji knows that it's an eagle in their local tongue. And that's incredibly powerful. YATs are also very powerful from a storytelling perspective. So if you think about stringing together a short string of emojis, you can tell really, really powerful stories. So if I'm really into football and my favorite football team happens to be the Miami Dolphins, for example, having a YAT that is I heart Dolphin football is very, very powerful. And within 4 characters, I've now conveyed that I'm a fan of the Miami Dolphins to anyone who is interacting with me. I wouldn't be able to do that with 4 alphanumeric characters, for example. So, we think that this idea is a very, very powerful, very human idea. As everyone knows, human beings have been communicating using pictures since the beginning of time, since cave drawings and hieroglyphics and onwards. So the idea of using emojis in this way is actually not that new of an idea. It's a new idea in terms of the internet and Web3, but it's not that new of an idea in terms of human history. And in terms of how we think people will be using YATs, we want people to be able to use their YATs in any way that they can use online identity, generally speaking, and more. So you should be able to use your YATs to send and receive money. You should be able to use your YATs as your home on the web. You should be able to use your YATs to send and receive messages over time and in many other ways that people want to use their online identities, maybe even to authenticate with things, log into things. But YATs have another superpower as well, which is, as I sort of intimated, they're very, very good for self-expression. They're far superior for self-expression than traditional alphanumeric-based usernames. And so we really view YAT as a self-expression product, in addition to being an identity product. So that at a very high level is what YAT is about. And we're really, really excited to answer any questions you have and obviously discuss our proposal that we have before the DAO and hear your thoughts and feedback.
Awesome. Thanks for the great overview, Naveen. I think that's a really cool way to set the stage and give us a good understanding of YAT. And yeah, I think we're about to dive into a presentation now or some visuals.
So yeah, here, what I'll do, everybody, is I'll just kind of talk through our proposal in detail at first, and then at the end of that, we're going to dig into some visuals around the proposed flows that we have, so everyone get a chance to see. It's one thing to talk about what we want to do. It's quite another to be able to show you exactly what we think is the best way for this to live within the ShapeShift wallet. So I'll get into that following the description. But I guess I'll pause really quickly. Does anybody have any questions on what Naveen just said, or what YATs are, or anything related to that?
I think it'd be helpful to zoom out a little bit, because I think we gave a really good understanding of what these YATs are, but I think also just zooming out and letting people know a little bit of the behind the scenes. So you mentioned earlier there's Atari, which is a layer 1 for digital identity and digital native assets. Can you talk about how YAT relates to Atari?
Yeah, Fluffy, you want to take that?
Sorry, I was muted. Still getting used to Discord. Yeah, so what's really interesting is we kind of have an affinity for how Shapeshift are approaching things, and I know that that when Shapeshift started, there may not have been you guys may not have had the vision for what Shapeshift has become. Nonetheless, Shapeshift started as a centralized entity, totally centralized infrastructure, everything, office space, the works, all of that. And now you're doing this whole thing where you're decentralizing, you're becoming a DAO, eventually that centralized entity will go away. And it's actually doing it this way is advantageous if you had that idea from the beginning, because it lets you build an audience, it lets you figure out all the teething problems, and then when the time comes to decentralize things, you're able to go into it eyes wide open. You're able to hopefully continue a user experience that is close to the one that you had when you were centralized, if not the same. And you have all of these incredible learnings from operating, in ShapeShift's case, for years, knowing what users actually want and what works for them. So, we've taken that idea, that concept, and we've basically done that with YAT from scratch. We've gone, okay, YAT ultimately needs to be decentralized, but right now it's centralized. We have to launch it centralized because it is significantly easier to launch centralized. There really isn't a layer one out there that ticks all the boxes we want, that has some degree of privacy, that has the throughput that we want, and that we need for YAT. So, we sort of face these challenges, and our solution has been, let's start off centralized, and then we can kind of then we can go from there. But when you're doing when you're doing the ShapeShift method, but you're starting off with the vision of like, this has to be decentralized, you start putting building blocks in place. So, we started building Tari, and we started building Tari before we even had the idea for YAT. And Tari has all of the properties that we think a decentralized assets layer should have. It has default private asset transactions, but you can scale them back. You can say, well, this particular asset shouldn't be private for whatever reason. There's all sorts of things like that you can do. It has the throughput that we need for a very bursty, very highly trafficked asset like YAT. It ticks all the boxes that we want. It's designed with security and decentralization in mind, with top of mind, and it is the ideal resting place, for want of a better term, for YAT. Now, again, going back to like, what have we done with YAT with that in mind? Well, everything, all of the plumbing in YAT is built with the understanding that YATs need to live on Tari. So as an example, in the underlying, the actual code that underpins YAT, what people don't see is your account that you have with all of your YATs actually has a fake public key. Of course, it's just something that we generate randomly. It's all internal. It's never exposed to the public in any way. But when you interact with your YAT, whether it's buying a new YAT, whether it's changing your YAT visualizer, whether it is editing your YAT page, any interaction that you have, there's an attestation that happens where a fake private key signs a message, that a challenge response against that fake public key, and it's validated and verified by the YAT application before it gets committed to the database. So we've designed all of this, and that's just to give you one example. Everything is designed to eventually live on Tari. So when we are ready, when Tari has hit mainnet and it's time to decentralize YAT, that move from its current centralized form to its decentralized form, its final form, if you will be maybe not trivial, but it will definitely be achievable. And we think that we can do so whilst largely maintaining the user experience that people have become accustomed to. So it's really amazing to see what ShapeShift are doing, and how between YAT and ShapeShift, I think this is a good model for other projects to consider. Instead of trying to build the perfect decentralized thing when you don't even know what your logo should look like and what your audience wants, start off centralized, but build things with a view to decentralization.
Well said. Yeah, we're big fans of the progressive decentralization mentality. Completely agree with that. And thanks for the overview of Tari. Tari is a really amazing project, and really cool to see you guys have some some huge ambitious goals and are well on your way towards it. And yeah, especially with building on the 7 years of experience that you guys have with Monero. Also think it's really cool that Tari basically is private by default and kind of leverages the existing Monero security with merge mining. So is it true that basically all these Monero miners can really easily start also securing the Tari chain and earning some additional revs once you guys go live?
Absolutely. So the way that works is Monero. I mean, of course, you can do it solo mining, but Monero pools can add support. Again, we're not at mainnet yet, but they'll be able to add support to merge mine Tari, and then anyone mining on that pool will automatically earn Tari. They might not have it paid out immediately because they won't have a Tari wallet or whatever, but it will be accumulating in that pool as additional revenue for them for whenever they're ready to receive it. And it's what's nice about that is it ends up being really interesting economically for miners because if you're a miner that's very passionate about Monero but you don't care about Tari, well, you can earn Tari, dump it, and use that to buy more mining hardware. And the opposite is true. You might care very much about Tari, but you're happy to assist in Monero security being stronger, and so now you're mining both, even though you may have never given thought or consideration to mining Monero.
That's super cool. Yeah, I'm excited for Tari. I can imagine that when you guys launch Tari, there's going to be just a lot of it's going to get some pretty quick adoption. And is every Tari user, do they get a YAT by default, or how does that work?
So the story, to answer this question, we almost need to go back to the story of YAT, how YAT came about. And Naveen and I were at a conference in Leipzig in Germany, and I had this idea for like why do addresses use letters? Why don't they use emojis? Because it's a much bigger address space. And we started ideating on that, and Naveen just had like some really brilliant insights into like what we could do with this, and we got like hyper excited, and then we sort of we sat down with like the rest of the Tari Labs contributors, and we were like, well, the Tari wallet, the testnet wallet, needs to use emojis as an address. To which everyone looked at us like we were crazy. But we were insistent, and we built this all out. And so if you download Tari Aurora, which is the testnet wallet, you get a randomly generated public key from which private key, obviously, from which a public key is deduced, from which this emoji address is deduced. Now, because the emoji address matches or is based on your public key, you can imagine it's not like 3 emojis long, it's quite a bit longer. So it's not quite what we had hoped for in terms of ease of use, but it was so cool visually, and people were posting like in the Telegram group, they still are. Anytime they want testnet funds, they're posting this long string of emojis. And what we found people started to do is they started to, I mean, we of course, in the back of our mind, had this vision of, wouldn't it be cool if these were 3, 4, 5 emojis long instead of a lot longer? And as we were thinking that through, we started to see people do things like uninstall Tari Aurora and reinstall it multiple times to get a particular emoji in their address. So there was this deep affinity for like a testnet wallet address needing to somehow relate to their identity. And they were, if anyone's ever done vanity address generation for like Bitcoin or Monero or anything, it's great that you can generate millions of addresses or millions of public keys very quickly until you find one that has whatever phrase it is that you want, whatever word that you want. But people were doing like vanity address generation with Tari Aurora in the most hardcore, painful way, literally uninstalling and reinstalling the app. And that really is what triggered our belief that people want emojis as identity. maybe not everyone, but a significant number of people like fell in love with this, even in its clunky form.
Pretty good signal to see. Yeah, and I think that's really insightful on Naveen's behalf. I think we're seeing a lot of the new generation. They're even, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they're starting to, when they handwrite, they're drawing emojis in their writing, which I think is just another really strong testament to the future that we might be seeing. Okay, thank you so much, Fluffy. I think that really helps give us some great context at the high level of YAT and of Atari. And yeah, I would love to pass it back to Michael Volleyball to walk us through the presentation.
Yeah, before we do that, I just want to make a couple other quick points. So, I think the relationship between YAT and Atari is really interesting because, our point of view is, if you think about how we decide what we want to share in real life, every single human is able to decide in real time what they want to share. If we're in a conversation with another person or we're in a group setting or whatever, we're always making choices in terms of what we want, what story we want to tell, how we want to tell it, what bits of information we choose to disclose. Then when you go on the internet, you lose that agency, and that's why we say that YATs are self-directed, because there's no limit to the number of YATs someone can create. And no one at YAT Labs is telling any YAT creator what they should do with their YATs. It's completely up to the YAT creator. So a YAT creator could associate a YAT with a Monero address, and they could just use it that way. A YAT creator could create a burner YAT. They just create a YAT that's one-time use. And that's a core part of the vision for YAT, is that this is very much a pro-privacy product in that way, in the way that it is self-directed. And then ultimately, when YATs are issued on Atari, then you have plausible deniability and obfuscation, et cetera, around obviously who owns given YATs, which is very important to us, obviously. And then the final point I wanted to make is just to really double down on self-expression. So on the Zoom, I'm sharing my screen right now for those who are viewing that. And I'm sharing a feature of YAT, which is really important to us, which is called the YAT Visualizer. And the YAT Visualizer was really intended just to give ideas to the YAT community. We really love how creative the YAT community is. People create all sorts of really beautiful visuals for their YATs. And we wanted to create a tool that enabled every YAT creator, even YAT creators who may not be creatively inclined, the ability to create beautiful, stunning visuals around their YATs and be able to tell their stories using the emojis they've selected for their YATs. And so, and you'll see this in our presentation, in terms of our proposal for the DAO, because we think that there is a way to use this sort of presentation layer, if you will, this sort of visualization for a YAT to make the concept of sending and receiving money a much more social experience. And the YAT Visualizer is just a really cool tool in that regard. And it's just obviously one idea in terms of how someone might choose to express themselves using their YAT. But we also want to share with the community, just how user-friendly YAT is. I mean, YAT is really kind of a secret weapon. It's kind of a red pill for all of us in a way, because you can go and create a YAT and you can pay for it with fiat if you want within like 30 seconds. I mean, the user journey for a YAT creator is incredibly simple. You don't have this, convoluted user journey that we have become very accustomed to in crypto, where it's like, okay, you got to go and, set up an account in an exchange, KYC, move some fiat over to this exchange, buy some cryptocurrency and move that over to, something like Portis, and then, potentially, then buy your NFTs in that way. I mean, it's a very complicated process. There's a lot of steps there that, for the average user, the average person, very hard for them to understand and very hard for them to do. And that's one of the reasons why we believe, anyway, that there's only around 100 million people in the crypto ecosystem, which is really small. I mean, there's 4.6 billion internet connected people. So really, all of us here, we are early. I know we like to talk about that in our community, but we genuinely are early. And I think we have a lot of work to do together in terms of user experience. So that's one of our core ideals and goals with the YAT product, is to really create something that is a bridge for normies, everyday users, to be able to get into our ecosystem, express themselves in beautiful ways, have a very easy way to engage with each other, have a really beautiful way, an easy way for them to use what's happening in our ecosystem, to use all sorts of Web3 tooling. And that's sort of one of our core visions for YAT as a product, and then ultimately for Tari as well.
Yeah, I can see how important that is to you guys, and just keeping it simple. And I think you guys have done a really great job. I think maybe are we gonna look at the YAT page? Because I don't know how you guys could have made it any simpler to basically set up this YAT page. It was super easy, super useful. And earlier today, I had a great experience too, where I was signing up for Publish 0x, this new I don't know, like blog thing, content thing for different crypto projects, and you have to create a bio. And I was like, oh, I got to make a bio. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just drop my YAT link in there. It'll be perfect. And so that I can see being a really strong use case, is just like using these YATs and bios all over.
Yeah, so on the Zoom, I'm sharing my YAT page right now for those who are viewing. And yeah, so the vision behind YAT page is, how do we really create the simplest, most beautiful way for someone to express themselves using their YATs on the web? And we actually have a next generation version of YAT page that is like deep in production. We actually we're hoping to launch it towards the end of September, but it's taking a little bit longer than we desired. But we have a lot of really amazing ideas for the future of YAT page that we think are going to be really groundbreaking for the YAT community and far beyond. But the points you made about the product are cornerstone to us. How easy it is to set up, how easy it is to use, how beautiful it is. These are all things that are very important to us. And in fact, the way that we built our organization is, we value design just as much as we value brilliant engineering. And we think that's really, really important in terms of proving our, in terms of moving our overall ecosystem forward.
Yeah, I think it shows. And regarding like organic growth and the influencers that are involved in your project, I know there's a few questions about that sort of thing. So if you could maybe dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, delighted to. So, we're fast approaching 200,000 YATs created, believe it or not. We're not quite at 200,000, but we're fast approaching that number, which is really, really exciting, considering YAT just launched in February, early February of this year. So that's really, really amazing growth in a very, very short amount of time. We have many tens of thousands of unique people in the YAT community, which is also awesome considering how early this is and how little marketing we've actually done and how little press. We've really been largely under the radar and very community driven since day one. In terms of our relationship with influencers and folks who have large followings, I actually started my career in the music business and learned a lot about how to build brands and how to connect with people who are creating amazing art, in this case, music. So I started my career working with bands like Linkin Park and artists like Carrie Underwood and Lil Wayne and many, many, many others over the course of my career. And as a result, we've built a lot of amazing relationships. We have amazing friendships with incredible artists out there. And when we tell the story of YAT to them, we say, hey, look, this is what YAT's all about. This is why it's such an incredible opportunity for you. It's an entirely new form of IP for you. One of the biggest challenges in the music business and for creators, generally is intellectual property. Most musicians don't own their own music. If you're signed to a record company, you no longer own your music. The record company owns your music, and you end up dealing with, oodles and oodles of lawyers just to get little things done in terms of your career. Well, an emoji string doesn't fall into that form of IP, right? And most people don't have trademarks on emoji strings. So now it creates an incredible new opportunity. So, an example of this most recently is Steve Aoki and Armin van Buuren just dropped a single which was called Music Means Love Forever, and they created a YAT for it. So their YAT was music note, heart, infinity symbol. And they decided to put that emoji string, that YAT, on the merchandise. So if you go and you buy the exclusive shirt for the single for that drop, it has those emojis on that. And they didn't need anyone's permission for that. They certainly didn't need ours. And to us, that's really, really special in terms of how we engage with artists and how we celebrate artists and how we really empower artists. And that's why YAT has been very successful in the music industry and far beyond. And we now have creators with over 500 million followers that have YATs on their social profiles across Twitter, TikTok, and beyond. And that's growing rapidly every week. Just last week, we added creators with over 10 million followers just last week alone. And we aren't paying influencers. Like that's actually, we have a strict policy against that within the YAT Labs organization because we think it's really inauthentic. We think it's really lame, actually, to do that. We think that the right way to do it is to build relationships with people in an organic way, educate them about what our vision is, get them excited about what YAT is all about, show them the power of YAT, and some people are going to get into it and some people won't, and that's totally cool. You know, there's always going to be an adoption curve. And we have 3 buckets for our adoption curve. We have early adopters, we have fast followers, and we have folks who we affectionately call sheep, which is the folks who will be last on the bus. And that's all good. That's no challenge at all to us. You know, that's exactly how it should work out there. We're very, very fortunate to have a large community of highly celebrated creators out there who happen to be passionate about their YATs. Some of these creators actually are investors in the company, or have participated at an even deeper level. I mean, Lil Wayne's actually an investor in the company, which a lot of people don't know, as is Questlove, as is G-Eazy, and many others. And that just shows their level of support for what we're doing. They're actually putting their money where their mouth is because they believe in this vision. So that's a little bit more information in detail about how we collaborate with creators out there in the broader world.
Yeah, and the use case that Wayne is using regarding like saving on the pre-sale through his YAT link it's awesome. I love there.
Yeah. So I can add to that. It was as interesting because this is Brian. I'm actually IRL in real life here next to Naveen, so we're in the room together. But with Lil Wayne, his album is coming out on Friday. And it's a collaboration with another artist, Rich the Kid, who's also got millions of followers on his own. And the title of the album is Trust Fund Babies. And where I was just sort of chatting with the team, and the idea came up to create a YAT for it, and it just totally made sense. So the YAT for it is Money Bag Baby Baby for Trust Fund Babies. And everybody just like instantly loved it. And I just started integrating it into the marketing plan, and I maybe giving something away here a little bit, but they're actually going to do merch too, like Steve and Armin did. They're going to do some merch with it as well. So it's just really cool seeing people do things in an organic way and telling stories.
Yeah, and it actually all started this whole sort of domino effect of artists using YATs in this way to drop new music actually started with Disclosure. So Disclosure dropped an EP not that long ago, and they created a YAT, an amazing YAT for it. So Guy and Howard are huge fans of YAT and are members of the YAT community as well. And they actually are the original innovators here around this idea of using YATs in this way. So, again, we're very, very lucky, very fortunate to have such amazing creative people in the YAT community. And, again, this is very early days for us. YAT's only been around for, 7-8 months or so. So, there's a lot more to come.
That's really exciting traction to see this early on from all these celebrities. And pretty cool to see that happening. I also think it's really interesting too that these, I'm curious, are these celebrities, are they crypto savvy? Are they interested in crypto? It's interesting that you can there's use cases for YAT. There's an obvious one for crypto users where we can take all these different addresses we have across chains and map it to a nice human readable emoji string. But it's also pretty interesting that you don't really need to understand anything about crypto to see value in a YAT. Is part of your strategy? Is that part of the strategy? And is there a hope that maybe some of these celebrities or people that are coming in just for the YAT use case that's not crypto related might convert into crypto or Atari users?
100%. So we're pretty serious about YAT being yet another red pill for our global crypto community. So and you can see it in the kinds of questions they ask. So I had a really wonderful opportunity to sit down briefly with Questlove and Black Thought one time, actually at a YAT event that we hosted in Miami, and just you can see the insightful questions that they're asking. They're genuinely curious. They're really excited. They obviously see what's happening in the community and seeing the rampant growth that many folks in the community are experiencing. And they're innovators. All these creative artists, they are innovators. They're pioneers in so many ways. And so they absolutely see what's happening, and they see the connection between YAT and cryptocurrencies, and they want to get involved. They want to find authentic ways to get involved in what's happening for sure.
Yeah, regarding musicians and influencers being super into crypto, I know Nas was a major investor. I believe it was in Coinbase, so I know there's a ton of interest in the music industry related to like early investing. I think he was in 2013 or 14 on Coinbase, so I know there's definitely a lot of interest in that industry regarding investment possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, every day these conversations are happening. I mean, I spoke with a manager this morning who was, really, really excited about what's happening in the Monero ecosystem, and then another manager is really excited about what's happening with YAT. And I mean, you're right. It's becoming more and more mainstream every day, which is exactly what we all want to see. And it's really, really exciting. And look, we want to play our small part, like YAT is obviously one project of many, many, many projects in our ecosystem, and we want to do our part to help bridge the gap. That's a big part of our vision and why we exist.
And maybe just to tack onto that as well, I've seen, especially among celebrities, a lot of them are trying to be investors. They try to set up family offices or obviously they understand that their celebrity status is fickle and might disappear tomorrow, and they want their money to go as far as possible. And that's great. Having them come into our ecosystem and invest is certainly not something that I think any of us are opposed to. But what I have noticed is that sometimes leads to, and you've certainly seen it, it leads to some celebrities taking weird steps. They either try and mint their own token, or they invest in like weird low cap projects, and because they think if they promote them on their Twitter that somehow gonna gonna somehow make it successful. There've been a few really weird ones that come to mind, and that of course isn't great for the industry. What I like to see is celebrities that, whether they're investing or not, they're passionate, and they're passionate about good projects. And a lot of what we try and do when we do interact with any celebrity, whether they're in the music industry or otherwise, and they're excited about YAT, we try and educate them to the best of our ability so they understand the value in self-sovereignty. They understand the value in privacy and decentralization, that these weird concepts that we value so much become valuable to them, and they aren't just throwing money at Bitcoin with two eyes and hoping that it's going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, one of the things that we really share a lot with creators out there is just the concept of having a direct relationship with your fan base. I mean, it's really crazy to think that the way that the world works today is we use these intermediary social networks, and that's how creators engage with their communities. And these social networks ultimately are advertising platforms, so they don't actually want you to be able to reach everyone. The worst example of the bunch, obviously, is something like Facebook. I mean, there's no organic reach on Facebook. If you are an artist with tens of millions of followers on Facebook or likes or whatever it is, if you post something there, you're going to reach a incredibly small percentage of them unless you spend money. That's not how it should work in our view. It should be more direct. If you are a creator, you should be able to have a direct relationship with your fans, and you should be able to do that tax-free. You should be able to engage with them tax-free. That's very important. So these kinds of basic principles are the kinds of things that really resonate with the creator community, even if they don't know very much about crypto yet, or they don't know much about YATs or anything really. But these kinds of ideas are very, very valuable to them, and these are the kinds of things that we love sharing with creators all over the world, and just seeing their eyes light up as they realize, oh my gosh, I can really have the power. I can really be in more control of my own destiny. I can really have agency, and that is the most powerful thing from our point of view.
Go ahead, Volley. That's beautiful. Thank you guys for painting that color. Really cool to see how important this and valuable this can be for the creators. I want to pass it back to Michael so we can make sure to cover the proposal. But please, if you guys have questions, post it in, and hopefully we'll still have time at the end to circle back.
Thanks, Willie. So, zooming out, I know there's some people that joined the call a little bit late. Just broadly on emojis themselves, the emojis are a universal language. They're immensely popular in every country in the world and on every social network that exists. People send emojis to play, to tell stories, to express emotions, and to connect. And part of the utility of YAT is focused on allowing people and companies to transmit value to each other. So they simplify how users use digital currency systems, they eliminate borders, they eliminate cultural barriers, and have the potential to increase adoption for crypto as a whole. So, our proposal here is to the DAO is by being one of the first wallets to integrate YATs, ShapeShift will be able to dramatically simplify the digital currency addresses within the wallet and eliminate the intimidation factor that comes along with traditional hexadecimal addresses. So the proposal itself is for the integration of YATs as a preferred digital address system within the ShapeShift wallet. So instead of users sending digital currency to complex addresses, they could send it to examples like I Heart Beer or Foxy Alien Cowboy or Love Diamond Hands or whatever string of emojis users choose to best reflect their own online identity. The integration would allow YAT owners within the ShapeShift wallet to map their digital currency addresses to their YATs. It would also allow for any ShapeShift users who are interested in creating their own YATs to do so from a prompt within the ShapeShift wallet. For those users that buy through ShapeShift, we're proposing a 25% revenue share. Concurrent with the launch of the integration, YAT Labs would also launch support for Portis to make the integration as seamless as possible for the ShapeShift and Portis communities. So getting into some details like speccing out the integration itself, there's a series of milestones that we need to hit in order to build out the integration, which I'll walk through now. So we would have the need for one project manager, one UX designer, and 1 to 2 engineers for the Android and iOS versions, depending on those engineer skill sets across platforms. We've designed an initial set of in-app flows, which I'll showcase in a moment. These were designed to maximize the adoption and thus the revenue share. They will be submitted to the community for feedback in order to achieve consensus on what we're building together. This milestone will be considered complete once the design teams finalize the designs to both the community as well as YAT Labs, both of which will have sign off on everything before the dev work is to commence. So next we'll go to look to build out the integration itself in the mobile and iOS wallets, and the mobile wallets on iOS and Android. This milestone will only be considered complete when the engineer signs off on the code and the product team signs off on the functionality. And last but certainly not least, we're committed to building out support for Portis, which will allow YAT users to mint their NFTs via Portis in addition to MetaMask, which is the only wallet we're supporting today. This milestone will be considered complete upon the successful delivery and QA testing by YAT Labs, as confirmed by members of the DAO. To incentivize the work necessary to complete the integration, we're offering a bounty of $60,000 in Fox tokens for the PM to distribute to the team accordingly. To summarize the benefits, in addition to the 25% revenue share of the sale of YATs that come from ShapeShift wallet users, being one of the first wallets to integrate YATs will eliminate the intimidation factor that comes with current digital addresses, which removes a critical barrier to the mass adoption of digital currencies, positioning ShapeShift as one of the most easy-to-use wallets for both crypto-savvy and new crypto users. So I also want to I'm going to take some time now to showcase some of the flows we designed. So I'll share my screen in the Zoom.
While Michael's bringing that up, the other thing that we're committed to doing too, which we're really excited about, is we have a next generation version of YAT Page coming up, which will be a really beautiful way for people to showcase many dimensions of their identity, including the NFTs they collect. As a part of setting up a YAT page, YAT creators are going to have the option to attest to ownership of wallets that contain NFTs. Originally we were planning on supporting primarily MetaMask, but we'd be very honored to support Portis from day one, from the launch of the new next generation YAT page, and make Portis a preferred wallet for YAT creators to attest to ownership of NFTs. So we're very committed to our collaboration with ShapeShift and with Portis, and want to make this a real win for all between our respective communities.
Thanks, Naveen. So there's many different iterations of the flows here based on different use cases within the app itself. And the main two I want to showcase today is what it would look like to send digital currency to a YAT and receiving digital currency from a YAT. So I'll start with sending to. So as you can see here, we're in the send screens within ShapeShift for sending some Bitcoin. So moving through these flows, this will allow people to select YATs that may already be saved in their addresses to send currency to, or just simply typing in a new YAT. If there's no Bitcoin address associated with the YAT, then an error message will pop up. So there's no risk of somebody being able to send Bitcoin somewhere into the ether where there is no address associated and losing that money. So that's not a possibility here. Assuming there is a Bitcoin address associated with that YAT, that will automatically get populated. So this, and then it just becomes the YAT itself. So this dramatically simplifies the address system. So there's no need to head over somewhere else and copy and paste a complicated and impossible to remember hexadecimal address and pasting it in, and then checking it 2 or 3 different times to make sure that you haven't screwed it up. In this case, it all gets replaced by a simple string of 1 to 5 characters of emojis. In this case, 3 characters. So here the example: you're sending 0.118 Bitcoin to Rocket Heart Ghost. And once that's sent, there's this great opportunity that we've built in to be able to showcase the user's YAT, which is this incredible surprise and delight screen that's so much better than just a, your money has been sent type screen that we're all used to. This is a way that's unique, engaging, and allows users a way to kind of flex their identities as they're using their YATs. It creates a really interesting point of utility. And then I'm going to showcase now what it looks like sending to or receiving from a YAT. So here,
before you do that, Michael, maybe we should pause. And we've covered a lot in this conversation, a lot. So I'm wondering if anyone in the community maybe has any questions at this moment. I don't know, Hunt and Willie, what do you guys think?
We do have a couple questions. We could pause and make sure those get answered, and then dive back into this next flow.
I've got 3 things here. I'll do this quickly, and then we can wrap up the rest.
Sorry.
Yeah. So this is just what it looks like if you received payment. So you'll get a notification. In this case, Diamond Unicorn Diamond has sent you 3.2 ETH. This will pop up the receive screen. And what's really fun here is this black circle kind of pops up and takes over, and this animation occurs, letting you know you've received 3.2 ETH from this address. And then their visualization pops up, which creates kind of a celebratory and unique, interesting moment that is, in addition to having just received, in this case, $10,000. So that's that last screen there. So yeah, those are the 2 main flows I wanted to showcase. We have many more different flows around what happens if you wanted to upgrade and buy a YAT through the flow. These have all been submitted to the DAO in the various Discord channels. So if there's any more questions specifically around that, we can dig into those in those channels. But for now, yeah, let's zoom out and take questions for the rest of this time.
Awesome. Thanks for walking us through the designs. They look super beautiful. Appreciate you guys putting those together. Eric commented that he loves these UI designs, and he's got a good design eye and can be critical. So that's a great sign. We got a couple questions from the audience. I think one that was asked early on by Ron, our community member, is what kind of user data do you guys collect via YAT?
The answer is the absolute bare minimum. So we are collecting very, very little information about users. Only the bare minimum that is required for us to comply with like local regulations. If someone pays with fiat, we're not storing credit card numbers. We're really trying to be as respectful to YAT creators as we possibly can be. We are not a surveillance organization or an advertising organization, so we don't need to collect lots of information about YAT creators. So our general bias is to collect as little as possible while still being compliant with local regulations.
And maybe just to add to that, like we are not PCI DSS compliant because we never even see the credit card number when we do accept fiat payments. So we've purposely designed things to keep even personally identifiable information at just arm's length from us. Because of course we do want to, even when YATs become even more decentralized, we want to still be able to facilitate credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay, whatever payments non-crypto users may choose to make, but we don't want to collect data on them. We're not a data warehousing business.
Awesome. Wouldn't expect anything less from you guys. Thank you. Another question. This is a great question. So this question pertains to FIO. This was asked by Dopefish. Right now we have FIO integrated in our mobile app, which is similar but very different and doesn't have any support for emojis as far as I know. How do you guys see, just on that note, how do you see YATs playing around with ENS and with FIO and these other standards? Do you see them as complementary or competitors? Curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, we don't really view those products to be competitive necessarily. I think they have sort of a very different sort of manner of operating. They tend to be very crypto first products. And you can see that, when you go and try to acquire one of those sorts of usernames or identities or domains. YAT is intended to be a product that's for everyone on Earth. We're very proud of the fact that we have, everyday normal users that are YAT creators, as a part of our community. And those types of users, are likely not going to be users of some of the products you mentioned, not because there's anything wrong with those products, but just because the orientation of YAT is generally towards everyday users and really creating the most seamless user experience as possible. The other thing that's very important to note about YAT is there's a lot of intention behind YAT around emojis. So a common thing we hear sometimes is, well, we can register emoji, URLs or emoji identities with these some of these other products. But what's very important to note is that emojis are actually very complicated. There are thousands of Unicode standard emojis, but there's only 452 emojis in the YAT set. Well, why is that? Because it turns out that you would never want to build a system that supports all of the emojis because there's deep risk of phishing attack vectors if you support all of the emojis. For example, world flags. I don't know about everyone here, but I'm personally not an expert on world flags. I get easily confused with world flags. Are we looking at the Irish flag or the Indian flag or other flags that contain similar colors? I don't know. My eyes are simply not good enough to tell. We think that
I've got you. I've watched every episode of Fun with Flags.
Yeah. So So in all seriousness, that's why YAT does not support any flags. That's why you can't create a YAT with flags. Another great example is that close to 10% of men on Earth are colorblind. Most people don't know that. Well, that's interesting because that poses a challenge for a product like YAT. So what did we do? Well, if you create a YAT that contains the heart emoji, it turns out that there are many different colors of heart. There's a black heart and green heart and yellow heart and pink heart with sparkles and many other colors of heart. And so when you create a YAT that contains a heart in it, you actually ultimately have access to expressing yourself with all of those colors of heart. And to be clear, that feature of expressing yourself with all those colors of heart is not necessarily live today with YAT as a product, But behind the scenes, we have this concept called peer emojis, and we are supporting sort of aliasing around all those different colors of heart, so that if you send, for example, Bitcoin to someone who's I heart ice cream, but that you use the green heart instead of the black heart, it's going to the same person. We do the same kind of thing with skin tones. How do you handle skin tones? Similar solution. And we do the same thing with emojis that sound similar. So for example, very recently, we added the Tyrannosaurus Rex emoji to the YAT set. And that's amazing. It's a beautiful emoji. But what happens if someone says to you that their YAT is I love dinosaur? Okay, well, there's a challenge, because there's a T-Rex emoji, but there's also a Diplodocus emoji. You can either be a carnivore or you can be a vegetarian. Your choice. And so T-Rex and Diplodocus are actually peer emojis within the YAT ecosystem. So if you send money to I love Diplodocus, and the person really wants to express themselves as I love Tyrannosaurus Rex, the money's actually going to the same place. So these are really interesting things that we think a lot about at YAT Labs that these other projects simply don't think about. And there's a tremendous risk also with the idea of mixing traditional alphanumeric characters and emojis. Is it heart period heart heart or underscore heart heart heart? These are all things that people use to fool other users. And while nothing is foolproof in terms of minimizing homoglyph attacks and phishing attack vectors like this, we really work very hard at YAT Labs to really think about these kinds of things, to make YAT as easy to use as possible for everybody, not just those of us who are very savvy with regards to operational security and personal security, but for everybody.
Beautiful. It's so clear that you guys have put just an enormous amount of thoughtfulness into this, and I think that's so key. I love, it's my favorite products are the ones where the creators have clearly just been super thoughtful from the beginning, and it's really, really amazing to see what you guys have built, and I'm excited to see this draft proposal hit governance. So we got 1 minute left. We do have another call coming up right after this. You guys have been the draft proposals in this ideation stage. We posted it a few times. Please, everyone in the audience, if you have feedback or you want to signal your support, or otherwise, go check out that forum post. I wanted to ask you, Michael, do you guys have any plans on when you're going to advance that to the snapshot proposal stage?
Yeah, I'd be happy to submit that later this week. So unless the only thing that would prevent me from doing so would be getting any feedback from the community. So there's things that we need to adjust, or any ideas that anybody has, or concerns or questions, please use the channels to pose them, and we can adjust or build out the proposal accordingly.
That sounds perfect. Yeah,
and really quick, I know we're out of time. I just want to again say thank you to you guys for hosting us, and thank you to the entire ShapeShift community for considering this proposal. We're very, very honored to be here and very excited to explore this further with you.
We're honored to have you here, and we appreciate you guys getting together so quickly to be here for the community and to explain the proposal. And I'm personally excited about it. I know there are others that are too, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, y'all. See you guys. All right. Thanks, everyone, for attending. I think we have right after this, we have a decentralized Ask Me Anything lunch getting started. I think we need to do this in a voice channel instead of a stage, just so that people can more easily chat with each other.